Icebergs regarding a certain topic really interest me. It's pretty much a video talking about topics with a specific game series or show, and this discussion getting more and more knowledgeable about the topic, like Luigi in Mario 64 or the Webkins Killer, pretty much getting more deep with the topic. So I thought it would be pretty interesting to take a look at the iceberg with Toontown. Now I wanted to look at something from Reddit. Some of them were jokes, but some were actually serious. There was one made by u/Swede7s. He made a pretty good version of it, and then he made an expanded version, which I kinda debated on whether or not to do it, but I decided let's just go all the way. It's a little long, but let's talk about it. Keep in mind, this video might get a little long, so with that said, let's take a look at the Toontown Iceberg and see how deep it can go. Nutty River and Nutty Summit. These were two popular districts in Toontown Online. Nutty Summit would usually be full, but had times for you to actually get in. But Nutty River was almost always full, and would just be a miracle just to get in. I'm not sure why Nutty River was always full 24/7, but it might have to do with bots being there and hackers filling the area. The construction tunnel. This was always rumored and unknown what this was going to be. It said in a Brazilian Toontown news piece that this would have new enemies that weren't the cogs, but I'm pretty sure this was going to be probably the Doodle Park place, which was in Toontown Offline from Toontown Online's design documents. Still though, I find it odd it's been there for all those years and they really didn't say much about it. Toon Valley, Toontown Central. This was a place everyone would go to for events like game shows and fashion shows hosted by people playing Toontown. Toontown Written kinda had this called Vibrant Valley, but got rid of it. I'm not really sure how Toon Valley caught on, but I guess it might have had to do with the amount of people hosting game events and people just assumed it would always be there. The Hills. I'm sure this might have had to do with the hills in Toontown Central, maybe just the outskirts of the area, but I really don't know too much about this other than it was a background for the playgrounds. Lil Old Man. This toon was the final task in the burg, making you do a lot to get to Donald's Dreamland, like kill some tier 8 cogs and do 24-story buildings. He's a tough and very notorious toon task, mostly for being hated, but helps you in the long run with gags and training. Cog buildings in Toontown Central. This was actually uncommon for some reason. Whenever it happened, everyone would want to go in it to the point there would be 40 people just waiting to get in one in Toontown Central. I don't know why this happened, but it was something that just would happen. I don't know, people were just bored of the game, I guess. Why Toontown closed? Toontown closed in 2013. Many theories speculated why it was shut down, but it was really because the play subscription style for video games is just not working out nowadays and only kept around Club Penguin since it was the most popular at the time for Disney, but then later ditched it only a few years later. It was just Toontown couldn't survive in a business style like this for Disney to keep around. Toontown clones and reboots. I don't know what this means. I think this might mean fan servers like Toontown Rewritten and Toontown Corporate Clash, because one is a clone, and one I guess you could call it a reboot or remake to Toontown, but yeah, these are here to basically keep up Toontown alive, along with Toontown Offline, Toontown Fellowship, Operation Desert Storm, and Tooniversal. But many of these fan servers have been living on ever since 2013, pretty much 7 years now. Pretty impressive considering there's a lot more on the way, like Toontown Galaxy, Toontown Cogs and Gags, Toontown Sugar Rush, Cog Invasion, and currently more being developed. Greeners. These are pretty much just trolls trying to ruin the experience for players, and that's really all you can say about them. People just making the game more inconvenient for the players and ruining the experience purposely. Black cats. This is a color you can get on Halloween for a cat. This is only for one day, and you can't get this regularly on Toontown Online and only on October 31st. VP Lobby Room. There's really not much you can say other than it's the lobby area for the Cellbot Boss Vice President. I mean, we do have these eyes here, so that's pretty cool. Green Toons. Now on St. Patrick's Day, you can have a completely green toon. Your muzzle's green, your gloves are green, pretty much everything about you is green on St. Patrick's Day. The Chairman. A rumored final boss for years. It was teased from the CEO after he died and said, the chairman won't like this. People had thought this would be the final one you would meet in Cognation, but sadly this boss never came out, and honestly it's a shame. Many have tried to recreate it, but most have failed, except for Toontown Offline so far, as they're currently trying to finish it with Seek Out Scrooge. Funny Farms. A playground that was cut from the game. It was going to be a black and white playground like the old Mickey Mouse cartoons. It was going to be a part of the main game, but the team had a hard time trying to figure out how it would work, but they never managed to get it to work right and ended up scrapping the whole thing together. True Friends. This is something for people in real life to give a true friend code, and once you gave each other a true friend code, you can become true friends and have a blue name tag. With this, you can pretty much say whatever you want to each other. Some things that would probably be blurred out to people who don't have true friends can actually see it. Cognation. This was another rumored area where you would fight the chairman. Now, it's hard to tell what this area would have been like, a city for the cogs or just an HQ like the rest of them. Also, they've gave some subtle hints about Cognation happening, like Cashbot HQ and the Cellbot Factory, you can find crates saying Cognation. Sadly, it never really came out, and it's really unclear how much progress was even made at all, or if it was even going to happen. Toon Troopers and Resistant Rangers. These were both staff members / part of the lore of the game. Toon Troopers, I think, were just staff and would just give out beans, host parties, and help with events. Resistance Rangers were part of the lore and introduced in Storm Cellbot, Ubertoons. These were people who had like 15, 16, or a low amount of laugh, and would have max gags to make the game more challenging for them. 137 Laugh Toons. These are pretty much people who finished Toontown Online and basically got the max amount of health, 100%ing the game. And that's really all you can say about them, they pretty much finished Toontown. Polar Toons. This was something given at Polar Place when you would say howdy in the building Hibernation Vacations, and your toon would be white as long as you would stay in the burg. Cog knockback damage. This is something that would happen when you would lure a cog, hit them with throw or squirt, and it would cause knockback damage to them. Scrooge McDuck flash video. This demonstrates how the cogs were made and how Scrooge McDuck accidentally made the cogs by activating the chairman. It also shows him getting captured by the chairman, and to this day, we don't even know where he is according to Toontown Online. And it also does hint that the chairman at one point was going to be an enemy at the game, or not, but it did show that the chairman was part of Toontown somehow. Who Framed Roger Rabbit inspiration? The film was very cartoony and it made the town more alive. Some inspirations I believe are the shops, props, the town area, and its overall style just looking really cartoony. It's what Toontown style would have been like and expanded upon from Toontown 2. Befriending cogs. This is something that is sadly impossible that I'm sure everyone has tried at one point. You can go to friends and click on make a friend and click on the cog. They will either say no thank you or give you a message on why they don't accept it. It's more of an Easter egg if anything. Pandora. This is a huge leak that happened a few months ago containing assets and features to Toontown that have never been seen before, like HD textures, unused features, animations, and the beta playgrounds. Well, most of them. It was something that helped give us info on what was cut with Toontown after all these years and helped debunk some stuff that was rumored with the game, with only little evidence to back it up, like the clown cogs. Out of Bounds. This was just a glitch where you had collisions of the game off or able to clip in an area that you weren't supposed to. It's just imperfections with the game that haven't been patched. Loopy Goopy G, a YouTuber that's helped debunk a lot of Toontown mysteries for the longest time. Some things he's found were the original Toontown map and the Toontown 2 prototype. He talked and helped popularize most rumors for the game. He's been a little inactive recently, but he still helps with Toontown Corporate Clash. Lighthouse Lane, a street for Donald's Dock. I don't know what else you would like me to talk about other than it has this lighthouse for no reason, and it never really was used before. Probably just a decoration, but it would have been cool what they would have done with that lighthouse. However, Toontown Corporate Clash made it into its own building, which I gotta say is really cool. Coach Z. He's an NPC in Daisy's Gardens, but he's also known for being a very popular Toontown YouTuber back in the day who helped give tips and tricks to players who were new to the game. He was insanely popular back in the day. While he's not really been up to much, I definitely do think a lot of people will remember him. Toontown Trading Cards. I recently just talked about this and how they were a part of a Toontown subscription. You would get a subscription to Toontown Online, and then you would get cards and mini posters from them. The cards would give you info on enemies in the game, tunes, gags, and they would even give out some things regarding with the lore of the game, like Toontown's greatest moments. Toonfest. This was an event for Toontown Online that would be hosted in Magic Kingdom of Disney World Orlando. It was a promotion to help advertise Toontown Online from 2006 to 2007. Some Disney celebrities would attend to these and just play Toontown there. They had mini games like throwing a pie at the cogs, taking pictures with the cogs, racing trophies like actual racing, mini golf. It seems like they enjoyed themselves when making this. I don't know why they opted to do it for 2 years and not continue with it in 2008 and 2009, but I think think why they stopped doing this was around in 2007 they acquired Club Penguin and Toontown kinda got pushed to the side, ending stuff with Toonfest. Donald's Dock Collision Fence. I feel like to anyone who played Toontown Online back in the day knows what I'm talking about. The fence over here would just let you clip. It was a silly mistake for some reason that never got patched. Like, you can literally just go through the walls in Donald's Dock because for some reason they never fixed it. Taxi Toons. I'm not even sure what a Taxi Toon is, but if I had to give a guess what a Taxi Toon was, it was probably a toon with a membership and would use a toon without a membership to bypass places where you needed a membership from. It could have been something else, but that's my best guess. The Toontown Times, probably just a joke to the New York Times, but it was an email-based newsletter for people who subscribed to Toontown from 2003 to 2009. It would give info for updates for Toons of the Month and contests. The original Toontown map. This was planned for the original game, and some things were different here than what was in the main game, like the HQs in different areas, cut playgrounds like Goofy Stadium and Construction Zone. Most of the stuff here was cut because of budget for the game, and just them changing some stuff around that would make more sense for the game, I guess. They even cut some playgrounds like Funny Farms because they were unclear on what they wanted to do with it. Sadly, these 3 playgrounds never really got much work, and only probably went to the concept phase until they just removed it altogether. Orange Toon name tags. This was something back in 2003, I believe 2005 days of Toontown, when players would have an orange name tag rather than a green one. I'm sure this was changed for whatever reason, but it was something they had back in the day when the game was complete. Donald Frump. Donald Frump was a joke reference to Donald Trump, a very successful businessman and former US president. I'm sure they put him as a reference because literally there's a lot of other pop culture things regarding with Donald Trump as a joke or just as a reference. And also he made a few cameos in Disney shows and movies. Interestingly though, for some reason servers have been trying to get rid of him. Like in Toontown Corporate Clash, he's been straight up removed, and I have that feeling with Toontown Written as well, since they even held a poll saying that they wanted to change nearly all of the NPCs, or most of them. I don't know. But whatever the case with Donald Frump is in Toontown private servers at least, I will say though, it has been an interesting history with him. BossBot HQ music. BossBot HQ has 3 themes. They would change randomly whenever you would come to the HQ. I'm not sure why BossBot HQ had this much attention with music, but it's interesting with the amount of themes for this one HQ. Unreleased Toon species. Some that have been rumored for the longest time was cow, goat, and chicken toons. Now it's hard to tell if cow toons had any work on them, but it shows from Lonnie Manella that she did voice some things with goat toons. With chicken, it's possible that models were made other than this one photo of it. They're nowhere present in the game's files or anywhere as is, just this one photo. The original Toontown Central layout, aka Beta Toontown Central, was an older version of Toontown Central. It was a circle area and a little more smaller than what we have today. While Toontown Central is better by all means, people were really wanting to try out the beta version of this. It's been inaccessible for the reason that it was only there for beta and had no other way of playing it. However, just recently we did get the files for Beta Toontown Central, and they're implemented into Toontown Offline and Toontown Archive, giving us the chance to actually go into it. CogHQ manholes. These were just here for no reason. It's been speculated that this could have been for Cognation or something else, but every HQ had it, which was a little surprising. Maybe it was planned for something, but the Toontown Online team just never got around to it. Pumpkin and snowman heads. Something for an event for Halloween and Christmas. You would go trick-or-treating or Christmas caroling, and you would get jelly beans, and then once you got to the final area, you would get a pumpkin or snowman head for the season. Doodle origins. Doodles made their debut in 2004, and that Flippy was looking for his doodle. Toons would have to search for him, but in Minnie's Melodyland, he was spotted in Tenor Terrace with thousands of doodles left, and led to them creating the pet shop area. Cellbots are actually the hardest cog type. I think this is actually true since they can be really tough. I thought lawbots were probably the hardest, but if you think about it, bossbots really have no group attacks, and cashbots, while tough, aren't as annoying as lawbots and cellbots. Cellbots, I believe, are much more harder due to the fact that the Gladhander, who is a tier 4 cog, can do 20 damage, I believe. Same with the Mover and Shaker, and etc for the rest of the Cellbots. Legal Eagle Field Offices. Each cog department was going to have their own field offices, and the Legal Eagles were going to be given one. I'm sure this was going to be a feature in Toontown sometime in 2013, maybe 2014, if the game wasn't shut down. However, they never released this, even though this update was nearly completed to be released. It was even in some promo materials for Toontown Online confirming it was planned. Cannon glitch. The cannon glitch is weird. You could find a lot of weird stuff in here, like hidden code, the loading screen when you're in the gray void until you release the shot. It was also a glitch that was used in Toonfest sometimes to see some unused features at the time, like the duck tank. It's still possible to pull it off in Toontown Rewritten, but they keep finding ways on patching this glitch, but it was way more simple in Toontown Online. It was cool with all the weird stuff you would find in there, but that was really all it was, just something neat. Version 2.0 cog double death. These cogs would double die because you killed them first with them being an actual cog, and then kill them again when they were a skelecog. This was a cool idea, which I'm surprised this wasn't the standard, but I'm glad because I'm sure that would have been annoying, but a cool idea for the cogs. Clans. These were people joining a group, I guess. I don't really know too much about them, but clans were a small group of people who would join and I guess roleplay within Toontown. There's still a lot of these nowadays, which I'm actually really surprised. Pluto speaks. Pluto speaking in the Berg was nothing actually. I don't think he was ever giving a proper sound for him to talk, so I guess they just made him silent. It's really weird to think when the other dogs can do it, but not Pluto. Surprisingly, while researching this, it was rumored for the longest time in Toontown Online, but I actually had no clue of this. Donald being awake in Donald's Dreamland. This was a temporary model using Toontag Donald's model for Donald's Dreamland until they made a new one for him. The new one is basically just him, but sleepwalking. Minnie's Melodyland Carousel. This was originally something you could trigger for the carousel to spin and spin. Why this was probably taken out was probably to prevent people from getting nauseous while playing Toontown, since this could probably make them dizzy for, I guess, health reasons. Lowercase Toon names. This was something you could do back in the day, but it was taken out because I'm pretty sure you can make names that would bypass the whitelist, which I'm sure Disney didn't want there. So basically, if you really wanted to, you could make a Toon named Flippy, but so I guess Disney just didn't want that, so now you can't even have lowercase letters, it always has to start with an uppercase. The Old Berg Igloo. This was something for the Beta Berg until they removed it in favor of the Toon HQ. However, with the beta files we recently just got, we now have access to the Igloo, and it's even in Toontown Offline and Toontown Archive. Python injector hacks for Toontown. What the title says, it's basically just cheats for Toontown using hacks. They would go all out for this. You could basically get a free membership, cog suits, colored gloves, clothes not available to the public, and even client-sided areas. It was really cool what hackers can do with this. Anti-Ubertoons, aka how to ruin someone's day. These people will basically try to beat the game with the least amount of gags possible. They're honestly annoying to play with since you'll usually rely on them to carry you throughout the game. And if you're one of those, I hate you. The original house design. This was in the early stages of Toontown Online when they had cabin house-like designs. It was changed for a more regular house design, however the cabin one looked way better in my opinion. Bossbot's Secret Castle. So, going out of bounds of the front three, you can find a castle here for no reason. It's not even the Bossbot Castle in the HQ, it's a completely different one. I have no clue why this is here, but it might just be a leftover code that was accidentally left here, with the castle appearing. Toontown 2.0. This was a cancelled sequel to Toontown Online that was going to be planned sometime in 2011. This might have been a way to keep Toontown Online alive, like how they ditched Club Penguin for Club Penguin Island. However, they only got as far as making a prototype with this Landwalker and just a few mini-games. The game wasn't picked up, probably because Toontown just wasn't making enough money for Disney wanting to continue it, and that many employees working for Toontown had to be let go. And also, Disney was just moving away from games like Toontown and wanted to focus on Club Penguin and Disney Infinity, and I'm sure that worked out great. Walk-in battle glitch. For some reason there was a glitch for you to walk out of the battle, and if you were in another battle, you would be fighting two battles at the same time. This was also very risky because this gives you more likely of a chance that you will die, and it makes things more confusing for the players. Goofy in Daisy's Gardens. Goofy was there because they just needed a temporary character for that area while Daisy's Gardens was out. Goofy at the time didn't have his own playground, and I guess they used the Goofy model in Toontag like they did with Mickey, Minnie, and Donald. Freckles Slam. He was a pretty popular hacker. Nothing really could be said other than he had red gloves and he would hack the game sometimes. It's hard to tell when he first appeared, but he existed and was blamed for the reason why Toontown closed initially. Other than that though, he's just really known for being a hacker. Hundreds of T-posing toons. Ah yes, the T-posing toons. They were bots that would be nothing but to ruin the game and spread them around like a disease. Hackers would pretty much do this to annoy the player and block certain areas with them. It sucks cause Disney barely did anything about it since it was pretty common back in Toontown Online. Anti-clan. I think the whole purpose of these was just to go against something, but I think this might have been a clan of hackers back in the day with Toontown. I don't know, but that's probably my best guess. Losing a laugh when another Toon dies. I don't know too much about this, but this might have been a glitch where when you took damage, but it affected the other guy. Again, I'm not too sure about this one, but we may be getting too deep. Cog building or glitch entrance. Yeah, for some reason, when finding a cog building, it would sometimes be impossible to beat or enter it. It was a glitch back in the day and has been patched in Toontown and other games. Maverick. He was another hacker, but in my opinion, probably one of the worst in the community. First off, yes, this guy was a Toontown hacker, but he took it to the extreme. He hacked the Random Toon Show's YouTube channel and proceeded to delete all of his videos, all of his tunes, hacked every social media this guy had, and even disabled his phone. And I'm not even joking, he really did do all this to him. He's doxed and made threats, it was kinda bad. However, he took his shenanigans one step further, and supposedly, he's made bomb threats to his school, which ended up getting him arrested. This is not a joke, I'm being dead serious right now. Yeah, he was pretty prevalent back in like 2014 to 2015, but just as suddenly as he appeared, he suddenly disappeared from the community. Or he's probably in jail. Negative laugh. I think this is when your tune is dead and it lists on your name tag that you only have -1 laugh. That or it could be a glitch I've never seen before. Airplanes above E states. So in the E states, you'll usually see these airplanes just flying around out of random. I don't know really too much on why they were here. I think they were just here as like decorations or something, but they would sometimes have messages, I believe. Skelecog invasions. I don't think Toontown Online has ever done this. Maybe they have before, but it was probably like very rare of them to do it. I'm sure this would have been held during like a specific event, but it wasn't too often you would see invasions for them. Lefty Lemonzilla, another YouTuber slash hacker who would go on to make rants about the game and kinda like Frizzy Dog and Pop. However, in 2014, he's hacked games like Toontown House for it to shut down and hacked Toontown Written by giving it messages and deleting people's accounts. Lefty has since moved on from the Toontown community and apparently he's working for a company, which I'm glad to hear he's doing pretty well for himself. One laugh solo bosses. This was something popularized by Howling Ninja Dog and lawlsworth, with them doing one laugh solos or in different areas in the game on YouTube. Walking sad on a street slash Cog HQ. This would happen when you would die in a Cog HQ if you were in battle or just logged off of it while you were dead. You can walk sad in the Cog HQ and in the streets until you reach the playground. Hacked color gloves. Hackers would go into the game and get themselves the ability to change their glove color because it wasn't possible for people to do that in the main game. It was speculated that this was planned for Toontown Online, but it ended up being scrapped just having white gloves. Day and night cycle slash hidden moon. A day and night cycle was planned for Toontown, but recently in the files it's been shown it was planned with the night and day changing. I don't know why this was a scratched feature, but it was found not too long ago from another leak by Satire6. Last Big Cheese Invasion irony. On September 16th and 17th, apparently the Big Cheese Invasion was going to happen and try to take over Toontown one last time before the game shuts down for good on September 19th, 2013. Yeah, that's kinda weird because I guess you can technically say they succeeded. Cellbot Factory Skip. I'm pretty sure this was a glitch when you would go into the balcony and do a collisions off glitch for you to skip nearly the entire factory and get to the final 3 cog battles in the factory. I don't know why people would want to skip it if they wanted merits, but this was probably for people who didn't get their Cellbot suit and just wanted to get it as quickly as possible. Bossbot Arm Factory. Now these were factories for Toontown Online for each cog department, and they would have had their own suit piece. Factories would have been much more detailed, and all of them having parts towards a boss. However, I believe because of the budget and just being too much work on the team, they just scrapped this entire plan. Mickey's Toontown inspiration. Mickey's Toontown had some stuff in Toontown like Donald's Boat, Toon Hall, the bank, the hills of Toontown. A lot was inspired from Mickey's Toontown from Toontown Online, and even Mickey is listed as the mayor of Toontown. Jesse's Jokes Repair. This was basically a building, just a reference to the series creator of the game, Jesse Shell. Remove trolley track games. Well, 2 of them were completed but just removed for no reason, and one was just an older version of a trolley game, the catching game formerly known as Dodgicog. 2 games that were removed were Photo Fun and Trolley Tracks. Photo Fun was negatively received, and Trolley Tracks was just really annoying to get to when you wanted to get some beans and forced to play a marathon of trolley games in order to leave. Gyro Gear Loose and DuckTales Connections. So in DuckTales 2017, they had a reference to Toontown. When Gyro Gear Loose crossed off evil robots he made, right there is listed cogs. It confirms that DuckTales 2017 and Toontown Online are technically canon to each other. Meet Here Tunes. This was an interesting one. I remember I found out about this and I would use it a ton. They would show up and wherever you wanted to go, they would take you. You can even go to Nutty River as well. I'm pretty sure a hacker made this because from what I'm seeing from other people, they're saying that this was actually not made by Disney. I kind of found it odd that they even got this to work in the first place for everyone to even use. Unreleased content. I'll put this all together with all the rest of the stuff. The unreleased picnic games were something that was just left over from the game for some reason. They were 100% complete but never added for some reason. They had Chinese checkers, and Connect 4. Unused music tracks were something that were just never added to the game, probably because they just didn't fit the style or just had better tracks in its place. That said though, the E-States had a scrapped theme, which was kinda weird they never used since E-States never really had a theme before in the game. Unused dancing Toon buildings. I have no clue why this was cut since it was left over in the game's files. It looked like something that Toontown 2.0 was trying to do to make the buildings a lot more alive and animated, and it really sucks they never really got to do that. Gray Toons. It was an unused color for when you wanted to make a toon. That's the color they would start for, just being gray toons. Why this was cut was probably because it's a really dull color, maybe for like cogs, and the only time it was here in game was in the old Make-A-Toon. Naked toons. Well, when you started the game, your toon was naked, and once you got the chance to get a color, you can add clothes to it. That's really all you can say about it, since they were only in the old Make-A-Toon when creating one. Nameless toons. You couldn't really do this without hacking. The name generator prevents you from having no name, so the only way you could probably do this is just from a hack, I guess. Goofy Speedway Out of Bounds Tomatoes. In Goofy Speedway, there were tomatoes, I guess just as a decoration. You can only see them at this angle, pretty much out of bounds of Goofy Speedway. I don't know why it's put here, and the weird thing is, this is the only time you see them in the game. Donald's Dreamland animated fire hydrants. Yeah, they're animated. Just like the rest, I guess. Backstage column. I actually don't know about what they're asking with this one. Maybe the back of the stadium for Goofy Speedway, but I'm not entirely sure. If so, this could just be where Goofy Speedway is, with the main hub. If not, this could have just been other areas of where the tracks could be. It's honestly up to you on what this could have been. Fishing tournament prizes. There were fishing tournaments in 2005 and 2006 to the people that can catch the most amount of fish in under 48 hours, and they would get some cool prizes. Usually you'd think it'd be stuff like an exclusive shirt or something like that, but they actually had some cool stuff that was worth your while. In 2005, they gave out iPod shuffles to the top 3 people in the tournament, and in 2006 gave out High School Musical soundtrack CDs. I've never heard such a thing before making this video, but this was actually really cool. They continued this in 2009 and 2011, which had some, well, lame prizes compared to 2005 and 2006. It was basically just exclusive shirts they gave out, like a shirt with bubbles and a boot shirt. Surprisingly, they did this up until 2013 of April, which is shocking. It was really cool of them to give out real life prizes. It's just a shame they kind of stopped doing it after 2006. Weird Toontown commercials. I'm assuming they're talking about the UK commercials. Yeah, these are weird. They were in a different style for Toontown. For some reason, everything about it just looked really cursed and off-putting. It had different animation and just had a different style overall when making them. Cashbot field offices. A new field office was planned for the rest of the other cogs, like the Mover and Shaker and Legal Eagle. Some work actually was put into them. It basically was just a crane game where you would just throw money bags at cogs, I guess. And that was really it. However, there was concept art that can be found by Felipe Laura, and it looks really great. It's a shame it was never finished, but it was speculated that the new field office would go to the money bags. More unreleased content. First off, we have some unused gags. Some original gags were moved, like this cupcake icon looking like a muffin, and another cog called the gavel, which was in the game's files, but was never used for anything. Unused cog attacks had been removed since some of them were inappropriate, like cigar smoke, and some being toony, like song and dance. And the next one, for seemingly no reason, the throw book was removed. The unused crying sound effect was cut for... I don't know why, actually. Probably because the other one sounded way more cartoony, and the other sounded a little more depressing, I guess. Toward Toontown Week. This was when people in 2005 and 2008, when anyone can play, even with people who didn't have a membership to Toontown Online. It lasted for a week, and it was basically just allowing anyone to play Toontown for a free week. 3-day free trial. Basically, it's a free trial to Toontown Online and lets you do whatever you want until the trial is up and you have to pay for the game. BossBot field offices. All cog types were planning on having field offices. We briefly just talked about what happened with Cashbot field offices. BossBot has very little about what would have happened with it. However, all we really know about BossBot field offices is that it might have been just golf from this one screenshot. I'm sure the team had much more plans for them, but it's really unknown what would have it been. Cellbot Foot Factory. Like BossBot, it was going to be a more detailed version of what we had today. Surprisingly, we actually kind of have a model of it. This isn't even what the Cellbot factories look like, it's completely different. Like the Fist factories, it was probably cut due to the budget and for it being way too ambitious for them. Super speed glitch. So apparently changing your clock forward on your computer, it can make your Toon move really fast. It was found in 2009, but it was shortly patched right after being found. Also while doing this, it made everyone else frozen. Airborne Acres Ultra Shortcut. Now I'm not too sure about this, but I know if you go fast and hold down the bar, you can clip through the track and turn around to finish the track super quick. It might have been patched in Toontown written in other servers, but it's possible to do it. I know when doing this could mess up the track. Sometimes it would work and sometimes it just wouldn't work at all. Toontown Central Trolley T-pose glitch. Ah yes, the T-pose again. Actually, I think I know what this might be. I think when you had a glitch to go on the trolley and were given the ability to get off of it, it would show you that you were leaving it, but your Toon would become all black, and then when you came back from the trolley, since you were leaving it, or just not on it, your Toon would start T-posing after the trolley came back. This was a weird glitch. I don't know why this was something that would happen, but I definitely do remember this. Looneyville was the original Nutty River. Toontown had some scrap districts, and yes, Looneyville was listed as one. I'm sure this was probably the most popular district in the game at the time, so it would make sense to call it the Nutty River before the Nutty River. Limited engagement. I hardly know anything about limited engagement, but I also know it was a sneak preview for Toontown Online after Beta 2. After Beta 2 was finally over and the accounts for Beta were disabled, they allowed people who helped out with Beta 2 to get a slight discount from Toontown Online releases from $9.95 to $5.99, a 40% discount. Toon masks. Now at first a lot of people thought that these Toon masks were something in Beta, but fun fact, they are actually not real. But looking in the game's files, whether it be in the 2003 source or 2013 source, or even beta source, they aren't found anywhere. Only these screenshots can be found, and they might have only been from one scrapped idea that was planned but never released for Toontown. This very well could have been a hoax back in the day, but if so, this was a really convincing hoax. No cog types planned originally. Now, cogs were originally not called cogs, they were called suits, and I'm sure that suits would have just been the only cog type and would have been just a variety of them. Playground treasure chests. These were originally treasures for Toons to heal in beta, however they were replaced with unique sprites for each Toon to heal with. Glitch colored gloves. So, supposedly there was a glitch to get colored gloves in beta, but if you tried performing this, your account would get banned. I actually don't know too much about this, but apparently this was something you could do back in the day. How it was performed, it's actually unknown how this would have been done. 2002 Beta 2 build. In 2002, Toontown went into Beta 2 and had a lot of stuff containing it. Now I'm not sure what it would have been, but it just might have been Beta 1 but with more advanced things to do. It's still technically lost to this day with no way of accessing it. Maybe it will surface one day like how Beta 1 did, however, it's still kind of lost media to Toontown. Flippy's original design. Back in beta and briefly back in 2003, Flippy was a brown dog with a green shirt with purple stripes and a bump on his head. He's always been in the Toontown launcher icon. They changed him to be a blue dog with an orange shirt and red stripes with no bump, to the character we know today. 7 gag Toons. In beta, you would have to go to each playground to unlock a new gag type. For each playground you went, you would get all 7 gags. Since technically in beta 1, there was actually no way of getting them through Toon tasks, so this was the way on how you would get new gags. Drop as a starting gag. This was something Jesse Shell planned with sound, however, he made the standard just to be thrown squirts since he didn't want all the Toons to end up the same. Alright, so I accidentally skipped the removed VP tasks, so I'm gonna go talk about them right here. Removed VP tasks. I'm assuming these were just for fun tasks for Toontown Online when beating the VP. Maybe stuff like defeat set amount VPs, or kill the VP with the Toon with a certain amount of laugh. Why this was removed was probably because people really didn't like these tasks, since you can see on the MMO Central forums people having a hard time finishing them. Disney probably got rid of them due to a negative reception with the tasks. 2001 Beta 1 build. Toontown Beta was always something that was heavily desired from the community. People wanted to get access to Toontown's beta days, and in 2020, when Toontown Rewritten had the Toontown Online revival, one of the staff members had a beta CD, and that beta CD had a beta build of Toontown Beta 1. Joey Ziolowski released the files, and then just a few months later, we had a pretty much working version of Toontown Beta 1 through Toontown Archive. Beta Toontown has a lot of differences to regular Toontown, but that's for any game in an early beta. Red Toon name tags. In Beta 2001, apparently Toons had red name tags and Cogs would have blue name tags. This would later be changed to orange and then changed to green. You're a jerk. Before you stink, there was you're a jerk in its place. The reason I'm gonna assume why this was replaced with you stink is that they wanted something mean for the player, but nothing too mean, because Jesse Sell said that he wanted something like that in Toontown, so I guess they just landed on you stink. Sound is a starting gag. In beta, when making a tune, you had 3 starting gags, being throw, squirt, and sound. Like drop, I assume this was cut for a few reasons, since they didn't want everyone to have 3 of the same gag type and make sound optional. I think the team thought they wanted to make sound optional and make throw and squirt the standard. This was removed after beta, since walking to playgrounds you can unlock new gag types. Toon Talker. This was before Speed Chat, before it was called the Toon Talker in beta. It was a little more limited and complicated, but after beta it was much more simplified. Numbers in Toon names. These were never allowed, but I believe this might have been from when you showed your ID as a Toon. Also in beta, this could probably refer to when you can basically name your Toon anything and you can put numbers in them. Toontown items from Toonfest 2006 and Toonfest 2007. That's a bit hard to talk about since a lot of Toonfest merch from that time, I mean, they existed and they've been found by the community, but stuff in-game is definitely more interesting. I'm sure stuff of it exists, but like old tickets and bags and magnets and much more from Toonfest and Toontown merch from that time exist, but are incredibly rare to find. Sadly, stuff like COG costumes and like the racing trophies and racing stuff they had in those events might be just destroyed or just in the Disney Vault or archives. It's honestly hard to tell what they would have done with all this stuff, but sadly the truth may be that a lot of this stuff might be destroyed. Toontown Online themed arcade machines. Believe it or not, Toontown Online and Club Penguin both had arcade machines. They're now located at Disney Tomorrowland and could be playable there. Nowadays, finding one of these arcade machines would just be a miracle. Supposedly, the Club Penguin arcade machine has been preserved and kept in the main development area in Canada for Club Penguin, on display I guess. However, the Toontown one is completely unknown where this could be. Probably locked away in somewhere in Disney for us to probably never see again. Toontown pets. Doodles are the only pets in Toontown. I don't know if this is encouraging that there were other pets planned for Toontown, but Doodles are the only ones that were planned that have a trick system and can be fed and scratched. There was a ton of stuff planned for them, but it was just all scrapped, including the next thing we're going to talk about, pet parks. It was going to be basically like a dog park for the Doodles and to help interact with people you aren't friends with. I'm sure stuff like this was going to be expanded than a generic area for the Doodles and give it its own flair. Back in the day, people would rumor about Fluffy Farms as a playground for Doodles, so it's something that fans have been speculating for years. It was scrapped along with a bunch of other things planned of Doodles, and it's a shame that this was cut. Landmark buildings. Along with Toontown Pets, landmark building design documents came out a few months ago, and even had some interesting ideas for concepts with Toontown Online in the 2000s. However, like the pets, things just never came out to be like in the design documents. It sucks because Toontown had a lot of great ideas from this iceberg, but each time it had to get scrapped due to a lack of resources or just not enough funding for the game. Cogs were originally called suits. Before Cogs were called Cogs, they were called suits. These suits would be like regular Cogs, but once they died, they would turn into clowns and start running away. Obviously, Disney did not like this and demanded they change this. They changed them into robots, but they never mentioned the fact that they were business robots. We actually now have the suit textures for the clown animations and the clowns from Pandora. Toontag Tech Demo. Toontag was a game in Epcot for people to play as Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or Goofy and play tag with them. They had some stuff that would later be ported into Toontown, being the Toon Hall, the fountain, the trolley, the boat, the Disney characters, some of the textures, and some buildings. This has been heavily desired to be found. Not a lot of footage can be found either, only a 5-second clip, but that's really it. Toontown has never resurfaced, and the only things we found was this mercantile building and the beta model for Donald for Toontown that was ported onto Toontown Online. This could be lost forever considering that running Toontown is extremely old and hard to start up, according to Jesse Shell. Considering that no one on the team actually has a copy of Toontown, this is considered the holy grail of Toontown media for it to be uncovered. It's possible for Toontown to resurface, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Where deleted toons go, the dip. When deleting a toon, it's kind of unknown where they go. They just leave after deleting them. In the movie Roger Rabbit, the dip is something that can kill toons in Toontown pretty violently. This is definitely a possibility on where toons go whenever they get deleted, however it seems very violent for Toontown's sake. Yeah, in Roger Rabbit it is canon, but I'll let you decide on where they go when they're deleted, because the dip is just possibly an overkill idea. The origin of Ubers. Ubers have been in the game for a long time, so it's really hard to tell when the first Uber was documented in Toontown. But in 2004, on December 1st, toons were allowed to avoid the majority of the laugh boosts, allowing them to have a 50-toon laugh Uber with 6 gag tracks. However, someone wanted just be a 2-gag Uber with minimum laugh being 15 laugh, which is the lowest possible. But if I had to guess when I think Ubers started around, I think it was maybe 2003 to 2004ish if I had to guess. Oswald and Pete planned for Toontown. Nothing official was planned for either to my knowledge. Like, there was rumors that Pete was going to have the Doodle area or Goofy Speedway since he had a mechanic shop in Magic Kingdom, but I think why people think these two were planned because they were part of Mickey Mouse's gang. Pete more specifically, but Oswald was the first to have Mickey's design, so he seemed a little less likely. However, it was speculated that he was going to be the candidate for Funny Farms. In Toontown Rewritten as well, it's been speculated that he would have had his own playground called Oswald's Oasis. This is definitely not a bad choice when considering a new playground when wanting to continue the tradition with Disney character playgrounds, but only time can tell how that will go for Toontown Rewritten. 5 cog types planned. No 5th position was ever pitched to having a new cog type, however Jesse Shell always thought about adding a tech-related cog with big clunky computers, and a board bot-like cog when he kinda said that he thought about it. It was on the top of his head when this user sent him this email, but it's cool to see what he envisioned for a brand new cog type for Toontown. I'm sure they had scrapped ideas for Lawbot, Cashbot, and Bossbot names for the cogs, but I don't know anything about a brand new cog type. Maybe they had a few ideas, but they just never went through with it. What happens to defeated cog bosses? Whenever a cog boss gets defeated, they're destroyed, and a level 50 cog gets promoted into a boss to take over the defeated cog's place in battle. I'm sure this goes on forever and ever for each cog department to make sure that they never go away. E-State's negative emotional aura. I don't know what this is trying to represent, however, this could be of the silence it possibly gives the vibe of that because of the area having no music whatsoever, so this could possibly be the reason why people may get that from. There was music playing that was really upbeat and happy, but it was scratched from the game. It's very lonely in this area, so I guess this could possibly be why. Toontorial and E-State location. I totally agree that these two locations are on the outskirts of Toontown. Obviously not to be apparent on the map and out of the area. The Toontorial is on the outskirts of Toontown Central since you do have a tunnel leading to it, and the E-Skates can be anywhere on the outside lands of Toontown not to be shown on the map, but still part of Toontown. World beyond the map. It's very interesting to think. Obviously, I think stuff like Cognation, the E-States, Duckburg, Island of the Lost Gags, and a bunch of other things regarding Toontown, and the cogs are outside of the map. I'm pretty sure there's still stuff there and just things not discovered by the toons and might need some other way of getting there. Maybe through the manholes, maybe through some other location. However, just like the Doodle Park plan, that wasn't going to be shown on the map. Maybe there's a path, but it's not part of the main area of Toontown since the map shows the main town of Toontown. Toon 1984 inspiration. Toon is a role-playing game which had books and games from 1984 to 2006. It was a player versus player RPG where you can go against other toons. I don't know how much they had inspired with this game considered there was very little info about this. However, that doesn't mean that there was some inspiration from this game since Jesse Shell has gotten inspiration for Toontown games with other games. Jesse Shell got inspiration from the Cannon minigame on the trolley from an Atari 2600 game. I'm sure Toontown had a ton of inspiration from all sorts of things and that Toon in 1984 was one of them. Thank God we're almost done. Toontown pre-beta screenshots or Toontown Alpha. Finding anything regarding Toontown Online's alpha days is, to put it short, a miracle since how little we know about Toontown Alpha. It had to have been somewhere around 1999 and 2000 since it went in beta for the first time in 2001. However, we do have 5 screenshots. One with the Toons fighting the suits, one of an old Make-A-Toon, one with the Toons at the playground, one with a Toon on a different looking trolley, and one of an unknown area, marking the first ever picture for Toontown. I'm surprised these were the only ones found, but I'm glad they're here. Honestly, I'm sure there's more out there. There has to be more out there, but these are the only ones we have as of now. Comic Sans Toon name tags. I'm sure during Alpha the team just needed some kind of font, so temporarily they just landed on the characters having Comic Sans for their name tags during Alpha. As we all know, they changed their font in beta, but they had to use this just as a placeholder for the game. Colored gloves without hacks or glitches. So in Alpha, I believe that they gave you the option to give yourself colored gloves in-game. However, what stopped them from continuing this feature is that they wanted them to be like the traditional Disney characters and make them all have white gloves instead of colored gloves. The oldest known Toontown picture. This photo must have been taken very early part of development, and for the fact it was even taken at all surprises me. I'm pretty sure this had to be sent to either Disney or Jesse Shell on how the progress was going on for the game. Some of the stuff here looks like it was taken from Toontag, like the tree, the background, and a bit of the Toon Hall tucked into the left corner. I'm not sure where this even takes place considering the buildings in the background. There's so many what ifs and how comes to this one photo alone with Toontown. Maybe we won't even know considering it's been 20 years since this was probably taken, with the dev team or people involved working on this even remember it at all. Bizarre undocumented in-game events. A very interesting topic to talk about when about the game. I'm sure there's been events for Toontown that have been undocumented, so I can't really give too much details on. However, I can't find anything about something like this, maybe an event Toontown Online planned, or just something rumored. Maybe this is something that happened during beta or when the game was only out. Maybe this had to do something with Toonfest since the only footage we have is from Disney 365. Other than that, I can't really find anything about this. Unreleased old Toontown documents. As of 2021, the topic of Toontown documents have surfaced and have been in discussion ever since Toontown Written brought it up and has Toontown Online documents that have not been released to the public. They have only released a few so far, being these 4, and that's really about it. They said they were planning on being on display for Toonfest 2020, but that got cancelled due to COVID. Still, to this day, the Toontown Online design documents have not been released yet. Some have been uploaded anonymously, and some from previously workers on the game like Felipe Laura giving them out to the public. And finally, lost pre-beta builds of Toontown Online. Us finding anything alpha regarding Toontown seems impossible. The way we found out about Beta 1 was a complete accident after one of the staff members showed off a beta CD that no one knew about. The possibility of us finding anything regarding Toontown Alpha seems very low. It's sad that most of this will be lost to time, but who knows where this can be. Even Beta 2 of Toontown Online is completely lost, and we still have no idea where that can be. I'm sure if this build was found, it would be a complete miracle, but like Toontag, the chances of us finding anything Toontown Alpha or even Beta 2 seem very low, but it's still very possible. So, it looks like we went pretty deep with the Toontown Iceberg, and honestly, this was a ton of fun to research. Again, quick shout out to Sweet7S for making this iceberg, and it was really cool to research all these different topics, and I even learned a few things while making this. But I'm just ready to be done with this because this took forever to make. So, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm going to sleep. This isn't the right direction of my bed.